wonder, I don't wonder why we're quoting Rick Rule, one of the best investors in our marketplace, and I always look back at some of the things he said at all these different high points and low points in the cycle and just say, man, he was bang on, and he's someone to follow for sure. So my presentation today, I just want to outline the opportunity as an investor or shareholder in ValOre. You have ownership over an entire PGE district in northeastern Brazil, and I'm going to walk through that today. Let's see. There you go. I'll be talking about things that happened in the past and in the future, forward-looking statements. There are several risks associated with exploration companies. I urge you to read them and give us a call if you have any questions. Definitely educated investors are more patient and stronger shareholders. So we encourage communication around the risk factors in investing in companies like ours. We recently had some news, which Gwen actually noted in her report. I think it was yesterday, or last but not least, last page 25. But it was good, I think, because we had been anticipating news on the drill program, the exploration program at our Pedra Branca project, northeastern Brazil. We finally came to the market with that news on the 27th of April. So I'll talk about that. I'll talk a little bit about the PGE market, so palladium, platinum. Frankly, though, there's a lot of unknowns right now due to COVID. I'll talk about the company, the vehicle, and then specifically about the Pedra Branca project, why we like it, substantial prior investment, we like the district scale potential, and finally our group, Discovery Group and ValOre Metals specifically, thinks that the discovery pipeline is full, and we want to gain a lot of upside for our shareholders through exploration and discovery. So on the 27th, we announced the program, 2 phases. Phase 1 is fully funded. The drilling on the program is set basically 50-50, a little under 3,000 meters in phase 1, a little over 3,000 meters in phase 2. The mix is resource expansion, target advancement, and new discovery. So I'll just get you to key in right here. Legends are critical on every map in exploration plays. I urge you to read them because they tell the story. So if you look at the map, you look at these red stars, and I'm just going to move no one can see this, but my face is getting in my way there. So there you go. So if we take the red star, you've got 5 zones that make up the 1 million ounce resource at Pedra Branca. And when we talk about resource expansion in phase 1, we're focusing on these areas, Cedro and Esparro and Trapia in the south. And then in phase 2, we'll be working on Santo Amaro and a few more targeting exercises for resource expansion down here in Trapia again. So that's one element. There is a known resource. There's shallow, high-grade mineralization. We intend to drill that and expand it. Then there are a significant amount of data that we acquired with the project, and we've done a lot of work processing that data. And we've got some targets there that are excellent exploration targets that also have historic drill holes into them, where you've got high-grade PGM mineralization in drill core, just don't have enough holes into it to put it in the resource category. So that's what we would class as target advancement. We'll be drilling those. And then we've got a lot of targets. For example, we talked a little while ago about the Mendez North. So this is a target that hasn't been sampled, but great geophysical or mag targets. And we've been using a very innovative satellite spectral imagery program called Worldview. And the Mendez North target is pretty phenomenal. Actually, there are 3 bodies there in terms of mag targets that look very similar to Esparro in size, but there are 3 of them. We need to run soils, and we're actually doing that right now. If we talk about the palladium market, you know, after Corona, it took a real dive, but it's recovered nicely. And if you think about over the last year, what's been happening in the marketplace, particularly in the last 3 months, for palladium to be up as much as it is since we acquired the project is pretty phenomenal. Since we acquired the project in May, when we announced it, about $1,300 an ounce, and it's just about, I wrote it down, about 1,900 today, so almost 2,000. So it's up, even in this Corona world. It's and that's based upon the fact that the palladium markets were in significant deficit. I'll talk about that right here by showing this this chart. Effectively, palladium and platinum, but specifically palladium, is used in catalytic converters in the automobile industry. And there has been, if you look here, this is demonstrating that there has been a deficit for the last few years. We don't know exactly what will happen with auto sales in 2020. So there is demand uncertainty, but there's also supply uncertainty. And the South African mines are still closed, but now they're going to be going back into production. But most of the production of palladium, it comes from places like South Africa, Russia, and Zimbabwe. So there is significant jurisdictional risk. So once the auto sales come back, that's the demand side. We can watch that. We don't know what that is necessarily until it happens. And we can closely monitor the supply side, because we can look at the South African mines, the Russian mines, and see when they come back on stream. But for the most part, when the auto sales are there, it's a fairly inelastic market, and the palladium is in great demand. Also, from an industry perspective, why we like it is that if you look here in the middle, there's a number of junior explorers and developers. The collective market cap is about $200 million, or it was when we did this a little while ago, a few months ago. And then you've got about 85 of global production for platinum and palladium coming from 5 producers. And I would argue that there is significant jurisdictional risk in Russia, South Africa, and Zimbabwe. So the South African producers specifically have actually been making moves to diversify their risk on a jurisdictional level by making acquisitions in the Americas. Now, they don't have any acquisitions yet in Brazil, but they do in the USA and in Canada. So some pretty big deals you can see that have happened. The two big producers from South Africa have made acquisitions in North America. And obviously, they've stated publicly that they're looking at diversifying out and investing outside of South Africa. So we think that puts the Pedra Branca project in a very good position. Just talk about the structure a little bit here. Insider, VO is a ticker symbol, traded on the venture exchange. Insiders own a little over 20% of the company. Jangada Mines, which is the company that we bought the project from, has 22.5 million shares, so over 25%. Then we've got some very long-term patient retail shareholders and a couple of different mining funds. As far as a team goes, really we've been working as a team together for about 8 years as a really great working unit, great capital market strength, great exploration strength, and finance, legal. And then recently, actually, we've through the acquisition of the project, Luis Azevedo and Brian McMaster have joined our board from Jangada. So great Brazilian experience, and they're there to make sure we steward their shares well. So they're great directors and great partners for us. Very strong technical team. And you can see some of these names here. You may recognize that gentleman from Kaminak fame, and actually he was one of the founders of Kivalliq, which is a predecessor to this company. As far as recent transactions, we're part of Discovery Group. So there's some big deals that have happened over the last few years that Discovery Group companies have been a part of. Northern Empire was one, Kaminak was another, Corsa, and then this is actually not a Discovery Group deal, Hathor, but 2 of our directors, that being Dale Walster and Jim Malone, were intimately involved with Hathor, and Hathor was a uranium deposit, a uranium project that was sold to Rio Tinto for over $600 million. So as a Discovery Group company, it's effectively an alliance, so it's a flat structure, but 8 public companies in the group, with 1 joining soon. And we've got projects all over the Americas. That companies are really at different stages. They're chasing different commodities. They have different management teams and completely separate boards of directors. But effectively, the whole focus of the group is a framework where high quality people can come in and high quality people can use a framework of the group to attract capital, more people, and great projects and deal flow. This is a map of Brazil, or South America and Brazil. The Pedra Branca project is located here in Ceará State. The biggest city that's close to the project is called Fortaleza. There's about 3 million people. It's on the coast. Here's a picture of Fortaleza. 3 million people, as I said, skyscrapers, international airport, big deep water port, commercial port, and then we've got highways that run all the way to Brasilia. So they actually pass, and in this case, transect the property. So access is excellent, not only from roads, but airports and launching and servicing the project. And the port will be an excellent addition down the road. And this is a really good picture right here. A lot of people think of the rainforest when they think of Brazil, but this looks more like Texas, if you can see that. Very dry ranch land, easy access, great mineral tenure, and a great place to explore. As far as investment in the project, there's been a number of operators prior to ValOre taking over, and it was historically, we think that the expenditures were in excess actually of $35 million, but over close to 400 diamond drill holes, property-wide geophysics, not only airborne, but ground geophysics, lots of mapping, spectral data, and about 20,000 geochem points. And what that shows us is that we think it's a district, and we're setting out to prove that thesis correct. This represents over 50 kilometers of strike, high-grade samples from one side to the other, and then you've got these zones that make up the resources. So about 80% plus of the drill holes on the project were into areas that are now in the 43101 resource of just over 1 million ounces. So we've got 5 zones: Santa Amaro, Curiú, Esbarro, Cedro, and down here in the south, Trapia. And what we really like about this project, not only in the terms of that district scale potential, but also the mineralization is high grade and near surface. What we're trying to show you here from this section of Esbarro, which is right here on the bigger map, is that the mineralization is high grade. So if you look at, let me just get rid of this ugly mug, which is my mug. So down here, you've got this pink is in excess of 10 grams per ton. So you can look at some of these intervals. These are showing vertical drill holes into the deposit, into the section, but a lot of high grade mineralization above 60 meters. So we like it, high grade, near surface, and a big scale potential. So we're quite excited to get out and implement that exploration program that I was talking about.